Well, greetings and salutations, everybody. Welcome to this installment of Open Mic, the show where the mic is open, the floor, as they would say, is yours. What do you guys want to talk about? That is what we are here to discuss today. Thank you, everybody who's joining me here on this Saturday. Good to have you guys here. And that's what Open Mic is going to be. We're going to spend the vast majority of our time today just taking your comments and questions. I am, of course, your host, John Campea. Good to have you guys here. And I am, as of about 45 minutes ago, I am bacheloring it. Yes, my wife, Ann, just left about 45 minutes ago to go to Boston, off to Boston where the Sox play. On a work trip. So she's going to be there for like a week. It's funny because she used to work for a company located out near Boston. She used to work for Hasbro. And of course, their head offices are out in, I think it's Rhode Island. Yeah, I think it's Rhode Island where Boston's headquarters, or where Hasbro's headquarters are. So she is gone for a week and I'm going to try to survive. I may or may not be wearing pants right now. So anyway, guys, good to have you here. Now, as we normally do on Open Mic, I like to start off with one general topic. I like to just kick things off with the topic and get things rolling. And so I thought it would be interesting to start on this. Yesterday, we saw a story drop. I'm sure many of us saw this. And kind of confusing that DC Studios had removed the Lanterns trailer from all of their official outlets. And apparently, like from their socials and all that kind of stuff, the only place, if I understand it right, that it didn't get removed from was from James Gunn's personal threads, I think. I'm sure some other people who copied the trailer probably still have it up too. And why they would do this, I have no idea. Now, somebody is saying probably removed it due to music licensing. You know, that's a possibility, but they have entire legal departments that cover all that kind of stuff. Like, again, I'm not saying it's impossible it wasn't due to music licensing, but they have, like I said, in their process of this stuff, they have entire legal departments that go through and do due diligence to make sure they have all the licenses they need. More importantly, if it was due, and again, I'm not saying it can't be due to a music license, it could be, but why is it only now becoming an issue now? Like, why not before? I'm not sure. Now, there are a couple of options, and listen, I'm telling you right now, I don't know the answer. A couple of options. Maybe they decided to remove something from the show that made it into the trailer. And maybe they thought, you know what, this trailer is no longer a good representation of the show. Let's take it down. That's a possibility. Maybe, I have no idea. But here's what's interesting to me. What's interesting to me is that right around the time they're pulling down these Lanterns trailers, they release a new poster. And this poster has been getting some people talking, not because it's some groundbreaking poster. It's a fine poster. It's a good poster, whatever. But the part that's getting everybody talking is that text above the DC logo. Only one can wear the ring. Only one can wear the ring. Now, this has a lot of people talking about. What are they talking about? There are over 7,000 Green Lanterns. If only one can wear the ring, what's with Guy Gardner in Superman wearing a ring? And it's got a lot of people talking about it. To me, and I could be wrong. This is just me theorizing. To me, the answer is just really simple. It doesn't say only one can wear a Green Lantern ring. It says only one can wear the ring. Singular. One ring. So to me, what this says is that this one ring is up for grabs. And it kind of changes the way, and you're not the only one. Sam Fisher is saying there can be only one. When I read that, I also had flashes of Highlander. 100%. I had that as well. There can be only one. Only one can wear the ring. So what that tells me, or at least makes me speculate, what at least makes me guess, is that instead of both Jon Stewart and Hal Jordan both being Green Lanterns, and what our assumption has been is that Hal Jordan is just kind of training up Jon Stewart to be the best Green Lantern he can be, what this one little line kind of suggests is that Hal Jordan's getting ready to retire, and his ring is going to get passed to Jon Stewart. Because you guys remember, in the trailer, Stewart doesn't have his own ring, right? They're in the car, and Hal Jordan's about to drive the car off the cliff, and he takes off the ring and puts it on the dashboard and says, good luck, and then jumps out of the car. There was only one ring. Jon Stewart didn't have his own ring. So it seems like this is kind of suggesting that perhaps this is a situation of there is only one ring between them. And it's just Hal Jordan getting ready to pass it on. And maybe that means part of the story of Lanterns is just going to be about Hal Jordan accepting that his time as Green Lantern is coming to an end. Now, again, we are doing an awful lot of theorizing over one line in one poster. Granted, 100% we are, totally are. But, I mean, it does kind of fit. From what we saw in the trailer, there was only one ring between them. It's clearly Hal Jordan is commissioned with getting Jon Stewart ready to be Green Lantern, or a Green Lantern. And then you get this one thing on the poster saying only one can wear the ring. So it's just going to, it's just about a matter of passing the torch, and maybe Hal Jordan isn't ready to pass the torch. I don't know. I'm guessing. But I'm thinking that's what it's indicating. And if it is, honestly, to me, it makes the show even more interesting. It makes the show even more interesting. So we'll see. We'll see where they're going with it, but this certainly did bring up a lot of speculation. All right. With that down, guys, let's get on to the real reason we do open mic, which is taking your questions and comments. Now, today's open mic is going to be a little bit different, because we need to start today's open mic by me answering some super chat questions that came in while we were at Cineacon. So for those of you who don't know what happened, here's what happened. We're at Cineacon and we're doing our live stream. And I believe like the first night we did a live stream about the Sony presentation. And then the second night was Warner Brothers presentation. And we were doing our live stream talking about the Warner Brothers presentation at Cineacon, and the super chats were open, and we got to the end of the show and I said, all right, everybody have a good night. Bye-bye. And we stopped the show. And then somebody asked me, well, wait, what about the super chats? I'm like, I totally forgot about the super chats. It was really late. So I totally forgot about the super chats. And so what I said is, guys, I kept the super chats. I will answer them in our first open mic that we have once I get back home. So that's today. So we are going to take questions that came in during Cineacon, but also a bunch of you guys have been sending in questions as well. We're going to then take those questions too. So let's not waste any time and get right into it, shall we? And the first one we're starting off with is Alejandro, who writes, I don't care what Lander said last night. I'm your biggest fan from Mexico City. Keep up the great work. Well, thank you, Alejandro. So somebody had the night before sent in a message saying, I'm your biggest fan from Mexico City. But obviously that is a title that is up for grabs, much like Hal Jordan's Green Ring. All right. Fox Flores writes, hey, John, so cool to feel like I'm on the trip with you to Cineacon. Why have you brought up retirement as you have the best job in the world? Well, I mean, I'm not going to go into the whole thing again because I've kind of covered this 1,000 times, but there are two things. One, I don't plan on retiring when I'm 65. I want to retire, and I've mentioned this many, many times. I want to retire when I still have, like, when I'm still young, that I still want to go out and do a lot of things and all that kind of stuff. So my plan was to retire in 2025. My plan was to retire somewhere between the release of Superman and the end of that year. Now, what I then announced earlier in 2025 was that I was delaying that a bit because two things happened. Number one, we signed a pretty lucrative sponsorship deal with an agency. So that was kind of too good to pass up. So there was that. But the second thing was I got my van. I got my Nuvo that I could literally, because one of the things I really want to do in early retirement is travel around a lot. And with the Nuvo, I can travel and do the show from the van, considering I have a full little production studio in it, including Starlink internet and, my cameras and mics and all that kind of stuff. So because of those two things, I announced early in 2025 that I was delaying the retirement a bit, but I'm not delaying it by that much. Now, I don't have a date yet as to when I am going to finally shut her down, but yeah. Now, as far as, but you have one of the best jobs in the world. I do have one of the best jobs in the world. But a lot of people have misconceptions about my job. My job is still more than a full-time job. And it takes a lot of hours every day. It means having to put up with a lot of crap. Like I face more pressure and stuff like that than I ever did working in the law firms. And at some point I would like to step away from that. Now, I love my job, don't get me wrong, but it's, some guys like Jeremy Johns, right? Who I just saw again at Cineacon. He's looking good. They have a skill set and they have developed a thing over many years that he can make 2 or 3 videos a week. And that's all he needs to do because of his particular skill set and the channel that he's built. And that's awesome. Mine is different. Mine is like 2 hours a day producing these shows, anywhere from 7 to 16-hour days. It's a little bit different. So if everybody could do what I do, everybody would do what I do. So I'm looking forward to, I've been doing this for a lot of years, so I'm also looking forward to taking a break for that. But I do love the job. Don't get me wrong. I love it. That's why I still do it. But that's why I'll be retiring sometime in the not immediate future, but pretty soon, I guess. All right. Next up, we've got Billy the Entertainment Guy who writes, not related to the WB panel, but to correct you on your doomsday expectations, I highly doubt they'd put out a public trailer from Cineacon with Mandalorian and Grogu tickets going on sale the day after. So, like, one of our speculations, my big prediction going into the Disney presentation at Cineacon was that, number one, they would drop the trailer. And they did. Number two, I thought after they drop the trailer, they will release it online for everybody, which is the standard operating procedure for a lot of the presentations at Cineacon. They did not do that. So they didn't. Now, I don't think, listen, I'll be honest with you. I don't think it has anything to do with Mandalorian and Grogu tickets going on sale the next day. Zero. Had zero to do with that. Anybody who was going to buy a Mandalorian and Grogu ticket the next day would have bought, or they could have just delayed putting the Mandalorian and Grogu tickets on sale by 24, 48 hours. So you were right. They didn't release the trailer right away like I thought they would, but it absolutely had nothing to do with the Mandalorian and Grogu stuff. Nothing to do with that. At least I don't believe it did, at any rate. All right. Next up, we've got Billy again who writes, meaning Disney could push out a final trailer for Mando and Grogu over the first full Doomsday trailer. Again, they have done that many times. It wouldn't be unique and it wouldn't have been a first for them either. Like at all. They've even released Marvel trailers on top of other Marvel movies trailers. Like they've put out a Marvel trailer and another Marvel trailer within a couple of days of each other of different movies, it certainly wouldn't have been a problem for them to have done a Marvel one and a Star Wars thing. But again, they didn't release it, so there you go. All right. Next up, we got Raymond Verrata, who writes, congratulations to Adria Arjona on landing the Maxima role. At first, I thought if DC was doing the Panic in the Sky arc, I didn't like it as much as the Brainiac arc by Jeff Johns, which was emotional. You know, she's going to have, right now, she's having a moment. Because right now, well, she's dating Jason Momoa, so that's big. She's coming off of Andor, which is the single best anything Star Wars produced anything since the original trilogy. And now she's got the Thomas Crown Affair that she's starring in with Michael B. Jordan. And they showed us a big presentation for Thomas Crown Affair, and that all looked really good too. And now she's going to be Maxima. Now, it's funny you mentioned that because there are still some people out there. One of my own management guys believes that, and a lot of people out there believe she's actually going to be Wonder Woman. That she's actually going to be Wonder Woman. I do not believe that at all. I mean, I think she'd be a great Wonder Woman, but she is kind of short. But yeah, listen, and some people said, well, why would you know, what's the point of getting somebody as big as Arjona just to play Maxima? I'm like, this is first of all, nobody knows who Arjona is yet. Like you and I, people who make shows like this and watch shows like this, we kind of know who she is. But like James Gunn got John Cena to play a character nobody knew about, Peacemaker. And John Cena was a 20 times bigger global star at the time when he got cast as Peacemaker than Arjona is now. So I don't think it's beyond James Gunn to take a really hot performer at the moment and put them in what to the general public would be considered something of an obscure role. I don't think that would be unique at all. So there you go. All right. Next up, Bry Guy writes, James Dorman as Strider. Nice. He's underrated. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, guys, but you know, he's the 50 Shades of Grey guy, right? Like whenever we think of 50 Shades of Grey, we're always thinking about, and understandably so, but we're always thinking about Dakota Johnson. But yeah, he's the guy, right? He's the guy. It's interesting. I mean, listen, we all knew you can't bring back Viggo Mortensen, right? I think he's approaching his 70s. Somebody in the live chat, give me the actual age of Viggo right now, but I think he's getting close to his 70s. I think I remember hearing that Viggo Mortensen today is now older than Ian McKellen was when they first shot the first Lord of the Rings movie. So you had to replace him. I mean, that's just a thing. Oh, guys are saying he's 67. Anyway. I mean, you just can't. He can't play a younger Strider. He just can't at this point. So that's fine. I mean, Gandalf is Gandalf. Gandalf is old and is supposed to be thousands of years old anyway, so that's fine. You can still have Ian McKellen do it. That's not a big deal. But yeah, Dornan is an interesting choice. He's an interesting choice, and I think he'll work out fine. All right. Next up. We got Cutter Hale says, been waiting to hear anything about Digger. Yeah, man, listen. I am telling you guys, I wish they released the Digger stuff because the Digger stuff was one of the best things I saw at Cineacon. I think the number one by a mile, the best thing we saw at Cineacon was the Dune 3 trailer. But Digger, man, I think I like the Digger thing even more than the Doomsday trailer. I mean, I'm telling you guys, this movie Digger is going to be awesome. It's going to be awesome. I cannot wait for you guys to see what we saw with Digger. Tom Cruise might finally get his Academy Award. I mean, he's already got an honorary one, but he might actually get his first acting one for this. It looks spectacular. I cannot wait for you guys to see what we saw at that Digger presentation. All right. Next up, we got Madaween, who writes, ad crack is whack. Time to nip it in the bud, Aaron. So what he means by that is at the Sony presentation at Cineacon, Sony boss Tom Rothman got up on stage and pleaded with the movie theater owners, because that's what Cineacon is. It's all the movie theater owners. He pleaded with movie theater owners to cut back on the number of trailers they play, which is a big issue to me. And I think one of the things that keeps some people from going to the movies, playing a half hour of commercials when somebody's paid $18 for their ticket is absurd. And so Tom Rothman, head of Sony, was asking them that, and he says, you got to cut back on I think he called it the ad crack. I think that's what he called it. So that's what he's talking about there. All right. Jay Bling writes, full disclosure, my primary interest in Mortal Kombat 2 has always been the Johnny Cage Nutcracker, so I'm glad to read the movie will feature it. Yeah, listen, I got to tell you, you guys know I didn't like the most recent Mortal Kombat movie. It looked cool. I was excited to see it. It wasn't very good. The trailers for this Mortal Kombat have kind of started winning me over. But then they showed us a bunch of stuff at Cineacon. And look, I hope it turns out right. I hope it turns out well. I hope it turns out great. But it didn't look very good. But yes, the Nutcracker is in there. And if that's what you're going in looking for, it'll make you happy. But I got to tell you, my excitement for Mortal Kombat 2, I'm still going to go see it opening day, but my excitement for Mortal Kombat 2 took a little bit of a hit. All right. Never Lose Your Nerd writes, did y'all have to change your pants after that -0 trailer? Might be my favorite teaser ever. It's my most anticipated movie with Dune 3. I thought it was okay. I thought it was good. I didn't think it was that great. Now listen, I really, really like -1, and I didn't think the trailers to -1 were all that amazing either, but the movie turned out great. So I think this is going to be incredible. I think the movie's going to be fantastic, but I thought the trailer was good. I thought it was a good trailer. I don't think it was anything mind-bending myself, and that's fine. That's fine. Like I said, I don't think the Godzilla -1 trailers were all that great either, but the movie was fantastic. I have no doubt that'll be the same situation here. That's just my kind of take on it. Never Lose Your Nerd. All right. Next up, a film goer sends in a $20 super chat. Thank you for that, man. And he writes, Clayface sounds awesome based on the descriptions I've heard online. After finally seeing some footage, do you guys think it has a chance of being a surprise hit, or do you think it'll just end up being a sleeper hit? Yeah, so the trailer is now out online. I remember one of the coolest things we saw at Cineacon was definitely the Clayface trailer. That was eye-opening. That looked great. And they have now released it online. I'm sure all of you guys, or a lot of you guys, have seen it too. Now, look, I don't think there was, who was it that wrote it again? Mike Flanagan? It's Mike Flanagan that wrote it, right? Correct me if I'm wrong in the live chat. But with him writing it, I think all of us expected that it could be really good. I mean, when they announced Mike Flanagan was writing a Clayface, we're like, really? Holy crap. But this looks even far better than I thought it would look. But here's the reality. It's not going to make a ton of money. It's really not. And right now, James Gunn's philosophy seems to be, I'm not concerned with making huge blockbusters. My concern is making great movies. Now, whether he succeeds or not, we'll have to wait and see. But he has a belief that if his number one job is to repair all the damage to the DC brand done by the Snyderverse era. Which, by the way, it's kind of unfair to call the whole thing the Snyderverse era, as if Zack Snyder is the one who did all this stuff. But for whatever reason, it's just kind of known as the Snyderverse era, even though that's not really fair to Zack Snyder himself. But it seems like his number one job, James Gunn's number one job, is to repair the damaged reputation of DC. And his philosophy seems to be, if we can just make really enjoyable, beloved, quality films now, that will all pay off later. If we make this investment in making just really top quality stuff, which Superman was, and Clayface looks like it's going to be, if we can invest in that stuff now, the box office will come around. We'll get to the box office stuff. Clayface was clearly not designed or made to be a $1 billion film. Right? Clearly it was not designed or made to be a $1 billion film. It's made ideally to be a really high quality film. And I think they're going to deliver it. But I don't think it's going to make a ton of money. I just don't think it's going to make a ton of money. And that's fine. That's okay if it turns out to be great. All right. Thanks for that, film goer. Isaac Beebe writes, hey guys, much love from Australia. Thank you so much. Just wondering when you're going to do movie club episodes on the Shawshank Redemption and Back to the Future. Not really sure. I don't think I'll ever do a movie club on Back to the Future. I just don't think Back to the Future is just one of those movies you just sit back and enjoy. I don't think there's a lot to talk about in Back to the Future. You know what I mean? Shawshank Redemption, on the other hand, is definitely one to do. When I'll do it, listen, I can't even tell you right now when we'll do the next movie club. I'm not really sure when we're even going to do the next movie club. And I don't think the next one would be Shawshank Redemption, but you guys know Shawshank Redemption, I think, is like one of the top 3 greatest movies in the history of cinema. I'll argue that with anybody. I think Shawshank Redemption is one of the top 3 greatest films in the history of cinema. And obviously one of my all-time favorites. So definitely do that at some point. I just can't tell you when at this point. All right. Isaac also follows it up and says, Maul Shadow Lord is fucking phenomenal. They actually took audio of Sam Witwer screaming into the mic during audio recording sessions and mixed into it. He continues on. The sound of his lightsaber when he is fighting people, and it sounds amazing. Also, Dennis Haysbert from 24 has a voice role in it too. S-tier series. I have not started watching it. I don't really care about it, to be honest with you. I really don't. Now, I am going to watch it only because Sam Witwer's in it. And I just think Sam Witwer is phenomenal. I just think he's great. You know, Sam Witwer, I don't know if I think I've told this story before. So Sam Witwer, when I first moved to LA, he was the first celebrity, even though he's not a major household name, but Sam was the first celebrity I met before I even got to Hollywood. So when I was first moving down to LA, I drove because I had all my stuff. I needed my car. I drove, and 2 buddies of mine, Mark Neveldine and Brian Taylor, they were making a movie called Gamer that had, why am I freezing on the name of the guy from 300? Guys, help me out. Gerard Butler. That's what it was. It was starring Gerard Butler and Milo Ventimiglia and a few other guys. And so they were shooting in New Mexico, and they said to me, hey, while you're driving down, why don't you stop in New Mexico and come to the set of our movie Gamer? So I'm like, okay. So I got there, and Sam Witwer is also in the movie, and he was shooting that day. And I had a chance to meet and hang out with Witwer that day, and he was hilarious. I don't know if I should or shouldn't tell you this, but he started, I won't give you the full context, but we were standing around, me, Mark, Brian, and Sam, and we were standing around, and Sam breaks out his Emperor Palpatine voice. And he starts saying, who's your daddy? Who's your daddy? But in a perfect Emperor Palpatine voice, because he does Palpatine's voice in some of the animation stuff. And he's like, who's your daddy? And I just remember nearly collapsing on the floor, gasping for breath. I was laughing so hard, and I've been a fan of his ever since. I've been a big fan of his ever since. So for that reason and that reason alone, I will probably check out Maul. But I'll be honest with you, I haven't been all that interested in it. How many times are we going to keep, like, Maul died a long time ago. So how many times are we going to keep going backwards and telling, oh, now there was this 2-week period of his history that we know. Oh, now there is this, actually he's died twice. And so I'm frankly not interested, but because Sam Witwer is in it, I will check it out. I will give it a shot. All right. Let's see here. Isaac BB also writes in, my cousin Caleb just won the newest season of Australian Survivor. Really? I didn't know there was an Australian Survivor. Redemption last night. It was absolutely insane to watch when they announced him as the winner right on the Sydney Harbor. That's awesome. Congratulations on that. That is hilarious. Congrats to your cousin, Isaac. That's cool to hear. All right. Twilight Boy writes, I'm curious why you don't like Dune Messiah. To me, it's a fascinating and powerful take on the evils that come with being a hero, if you can call it that, and one of the best books ever written. Oh, I think it's garbage. I'm glad you like it, and it's a subjective thing. Just because I don't like it doesn't mean you shouldn't like it, and it doesn't mean you're wrong to like it. Not at all. Yeah, but I think it's utter trash. Now, yes, there are some good themes in it, right? The themes of overall, like the dangers of, outside of Jesus having any messianic figure and the dangers of what that can lead to. And it's just that look, I don't want to go too much into it because I could sit here all day and deconstruct why I don't like Dune Messiah, but I just think it's sloppy. I think all the Dune books get progressively worse and worse. I think the first Dune is a masterpiece, and after that, I think they just get progressively worse and worse. Ultimately, flash forward here a bit. You know what the ultimate end game of the Dune series is through all 795 books? There's not 795, I'm exaggerating, but there's a lot of books. Is that at the end of the day, and it even goes beyond this, but Paul Atreides' son becomes a god. And he becomes this half man, half sandworm thing. Now, this doesn't happen in Messiah, all right, but it's what it goes to. And he goes on to rule the galaxy for like millennia. I can't remember exactly how long, but millennia and millennia and millennia and millennia. And he's a tyrant. He's an absolute tyrant. They refer to as God Emperor Dune. And it turns out, for the tens of thousands of years, he was just a tyrant and evil and vile because he wanted humanity to rise up and overthrow him, to make humanity take that step. So he had really good intentions doing. I'm like, what? This makes no sense. Anyway. Yeah, I just think Messiah, and it does a lot of fan unfriendly things, and I won't go into the details why, because I don't know what Denis is going to do differently in the movie that are in the books, so we'll see. Yeah, but I just don't think it's a good book. I'm glad that you do, and like I said, my opinion is not more valid than yours at all. I'm glad you like it. I just don't find it to be very good myself, but that's just me. All right. Next up. Twilight Boy also writes, Evil Dead Burn and Wrath back to back. Let's fucking go. The GOAT horror series, in my opinion, with Army of Darkness being my favorite movie ever. I'm delirious with excitement. Dude, listen, outside of Army of Darkness, I'm not the biggest, I can quote Army of Darkness inside out and backwards, but I'm not the biggest fan of the Evil Dead series overall. But oh my God, guys. How good does Evil Dead Burn look? How good. It just looks freaky as hell. There are a couple of horror films they highlighted at Cineacon, and I'm not the world's biggest horror guy. Like I like a good horror movie like anybody else, but holy crap. There are a few horror films that they highlighted at Cineacon this year. that I just lost my mind over. And this Evil Dead was absolutely one of them. All right. The Ninja Boy writes, my dream is to become one of the best movie direct. Well, I don't know what a movie direct is, but I hope you become the best. No, I'm sure you meant director. Chase your dream, man. Pick up your camera. You know what? You know how to make a movie? On the advice of Quentin Tarantino, I went and took a film class by a guy who's a Hollywood film instructor by the name of Dove S.S. Simmons. And that's one of the first things I did when I lived in LA. And he always said something that I thought was amazing. Like, it's very simple, but it's very profound. He said, people always ask me, how do you make a movie? And he said, making a movie is no more and no less complicated than this. Get a couple of people together, point a camera at them, hit record and say action, and then about 2 hours later, say cut and hit stop. You've made a movie. Now that, I think what the point of that whole thing is don't wait until somebody hands you an opportunity. Start making little movies for nothing. Go just get started. Like, if you've got that dream, don't sit on your ass and wait for somebody to just come and hand it to you. Go out, start doing those things, man, and good luck in that. Mark Sipp writes, greetings from the East Coast, which is where I'm from. During Warner Brothers presentation, was there any reference, either direct or implied, to the ongoing situation with Paramount and the potential future of Warner Brothers? None. That was actually one of the more weird things, is watching like this Warner Brothers presentation, and they're talking about their future and projects they've got lined up and all the stuff they're going to be doing. And there was zero mention, absolute zero mention of anything to do with the Paramount situation. Yeah, I just thought it was really weird. Look, as David Zaslav himself said, it's still possible this deal doesn't go through. The shareholders just voted to approve it, but that's not the final thing. There's still several other things that needs to go through. And look, I don't want to raise false hope. It is most likely that the deal will go through. But as David Zaslav said, it's still possible it doesn't. So they're just going to keep doing business as normal. Warner Brothers is just going to continue to create and write and produce and put stuff out. And they're just going to continue to do business as normal until it's not business as normal. And until that day, they're just going to keep moving forward as everything else. And yeah, they didn't make a single mention of it, which was a little bit weird, but I get it and I respect it. All right. Cutter Hale writes, Universal announced that the Fokker-in-Law trailer will drop tomorrow, and I may be the only one, but I'm so excited for this movie, loving the coverage. Listen, I got to tell you, on this show, on the John Campea show, I said, this is the stupidest idea. Who the hell anywhere is asking for another Fockers movie? I mean, listen, I love Ben Stiller. I love Robert De Niro. But who in the world is asking for another Fockers movie? The last one they did wasn't that good, and that was 75 years ago. But I got to tell you guys, they dropped that trailer and did that presentation at Cineacon. And this is the power of a good trailer. I walked out going, I'm kind of looking forward to seeing this Fockers movie now. And it's out online now, so I'm sure you guys have seen it. And I don't know for sure if the movie's going to be good or great or terrible. I don't know. But I got to say, it has changed my mind on it a bit. I'm now actually kind of looking forward to seeing the movie. All right. Next up, Collector Movie Man writes, I'm very excited to hear what you guys have to say about Dune Part 3. I am more excited for that movie than Doomsday. Me too. I mean, like Dune, again, you guys don't have to agree with me, and that's totally fine. That's movies. Dune 2 is the single best movie made in Hollywood in the last 10 years. Nothing made in Hollywood in the last 10 years touches Dune 2. I just think it's that good. Now, whether or not Dune 3 lives up to that, I don't know. Who knows? We'll see. But guys, they showed us the opening 8 minutes of Dune 3. And I think what I said when we did the CinemaCon streams was, The only way I know how to define and describe what we saw in the opening 8 minutes of Dune 3 is take the opening of Saving Private Ryan, put it on crack, and then cocaine, and then heroin, and then 5 Red Bulls, and then a little bit more crack. And that's the opening. Like the pure tension. I felt like my guts were going to burst out of my sides. I can't wait for you guys to see what we saw. I just cannot wait for you guys to see what we saw. It just looked amazing. All right. Next up, Drew Yepson writes, as a huge Zelda fan, was the choice for Sony to leave out anything Zelda a missed opportunity or showing lack of faith in what they have seen so far? No, not really. Listen, because like, was I expecting Sony to show something from Zelda? I was, but I knew thinking that was a little precarious because generally speaking, studios make exceptions, but generally speaking, the movies studios highlight at Cineacon are the movies they have coming out between that Cineacon and the next Cineacon. So in this 1 year window, that is generally speaking what the studios limit what they spend their time in their presentations highlighting. The new Zelda movie doesn't come out until after the next Cineacon. So I'm sure they're going to do a big thing with Zelda at that, but no, it doesn't at all. Look, I don't know if Zelda's going to be good or not, but them not talking or doing any kind of a presentation of it. They did talk about it for a short little bit, but them not doing a presentation on it is actually kind of normal for Cineacon. And it absolutely does not suggest that they do have confidence in it. It absolutely doesn't suggest they don't have confidence in it. It literally meant nothing. Good or bad, it literally meant nothing. So I'm sure they will do a big, serious presentation of it at next year's CinemaCon. All right, good question, Drew. Next up, JT Hiskey sends in a $20 super chat. Thank you, JT. And he writes, thank you, John Campea Show, for giving us access to an event that many aren't fortunate enough to go to. Love you guys. Thank you so much for that. Go turn Sin City into Win City. Sincerely, your friend from South Carolina with all the tattoos. What's SLC? I don't know what SLC is. I have a feeling I must have met you at some point. At any rate, JT. Yeah, listen, my favorite thing, other than the Oscars, my favorite thing. Oh, it's Salt Lake City. SLC is Salt Lake City. There we go. Okay, now I think I remember who you are. You were there at the movie meetup. Okay. My absolute favorite thing every year is CinemaCon. That's my favorite thing. I mean, Oscars is my biggest day of the year, but as far as something I actually get to go and do, I mean, I love Comic-Con. I do both the main Comic-Con, San Diego Comic-Con, Los Angeles Comic-Con, some other events that we go to, but nothing touches CinemaCon. Nothing touches CinemaCon. It's just, I look forward to it every year. And it has been the best honor of my career to try to let you guys feel like you're a part of it too with our coverage. So anyway, thank you for that, man. I really appreciate that. And we will continue to try to do a good job. We'll try going into next year. All right. Next up, Ace writes, was there a Lonely Island Yourself moment for WB? I have no idea what you mean by that. Sorry, dude. The Fergus Review Channel writes, I'm calling right now, Godzilla Minus Zero is going to beat Dune Part 3 for Best Visual Effects at the Oscar. Not a chance in hell. Like, I'm sorry, you're smoking something seriously hard. It has no chance. Zero chance. Just from what we saw in the first 8 minutes of Dune 3, what we saw in the first 8 minutes of Dune 3 beats the visual effects in Godzilla Minus One. So zero chance, no chance in hell. I mean, the effects in Godzilla Minus Zero look great. They look really good. They do. Really good. But wait till you see what you're going to see in Dune 3, guys. Wait until you see what they've done in Dune 3. Anyway, okay. Next up, Christopher Brickner writes, with all the Cineacon events happening, when will you be able to watch Daredevil Born Again Season 2, Episode 5? Watch out for spoilers. Well, we did. As soon as we got back from LA, like when we got back from Vegas, I should say, when we got back from Vegas on Monday, the first thing Ann and I did was get caught up on, there were a couple of things we had to get caught up on. We had to get caught up on The Pit. We had to get caught up on The Boys. We had to get caught up on Daredevil. And I had to get caught up on Invincible. And we did all that in one night. Listen, I've said this and I stand by it. I'll say it again. When Daredevil Born Again Season 1 came out, and you guys have heard me say this, when Daredevil Born Again Season 1 came out, I said, it's really good. I enjoyed it. I thought Season 1 was quite enjoyable. And it was worthy of the Daredevil name, but it was not up to the same level as the Netflix Daredevil series, right? I've said that many times. I think this season of Daredevil, I'm not saying it's the best season of Daredevil ever. I'm not saying that. But what I am saying is I think Daredevil Born Again Season 2 is on that level of the Netflix Daredevil. Season 1 was good. It was good. I quite enjoyed it, but it wasn't on Netflix Daredevil level. This Season 2 is, at least to me. I've been thinking it's absolutely been wonderful. I can't wait for the season to be over and we'll do a big open spoiler discussion about the season, but I think it's been really, really good. All right. Comic Book Guy writes, have you seen the second trailer for the upcoming Billie Eilish 3D concert movie? No, couldn't care less. I just couldn't care less. Now look, I like me some Billie Eilish music. I do. I think some of her music's pretty good. Like I love the Bad Guys song. And I think her James Bond song was pretty good. Yeah, so don't get me wrong, but I'd be lying to you if I said I could give two squirts of piss about the Billie Eilish concert movie. I don't. And I don't mean that as a knock on Billie Eilish at all. I'm just saying I couldn't care less about that. So no, I have not seen the trailer for it. All right, Julius Goodwin just sent in a super chat badge to be supportive. Thank you, Julius. As did my friend Soul Video, who was there covering Cineacon with us. As did Georgie, and Screen Speak also did as well. Okay, guys, that gets us all caught up from the super chats that got sent into us during Cineacon. We are now all caught up. Thank you to everybody who sent in those super chats while we were at Cineacon. My apologies that we didn't get to them earlier. Like I said, it was just a brain freeze that night, and we just didn't have an opportunity to get caught up since. But now we are, and thank you to all you guys who sent that in. All right. That now brings us to today's questions that you guys have been sending in. So let's jump into it, shall we? Let's get over to the new questions you guys have sent in today. And the first one today got sent in by ScreenSpeak. And ScreenSpeak writes, will May movie meetups be scheduled soon? Yes. My intention is to, by the end of this week, announce the schedule for the next movie meetups loop. And the next loop will include Columbus, Boston, and New York. And I haven't got the exact dates worked out yet. I am aiming for the end of May. Might bleed over into June, but I'm aiming for the end of May. And it will be those three cities. And then we'll do more loops after that. But yes, the next loop is going to be Columbus, Ohio, Boston, or somewhere right around Boston, and New York, or somewhere right around New York. And we might add in a fourth city, maybe Toronto. Do I got anybody from Toronto in the live chat right now? Anyway, we might also include in Toronto, because since that's up in the, Northeast, I'll probably also run across the border to go visit my dad and visit my siblings and stuff like that. So I do see that there's at least one person from Toronto in there. Some people not far. Oh, someone from Milton. I love Milton. I had a good buddy of mine live in Milton. And Muskoka, oh, Muskoka's beautiful. I used to love going up to the Muskokas in the summertime. Anyway, okay. So yeah, there's that. Keep your eyes open. By the end of the week, I should have a schedule out. That's what I'm aiming for. All right, Al writes, my only complaint with Michael is that they didn't bring up the historical significance of Captain EO, Francis Ford Coppola's best film. But it wasn't necessary, right? Like, you're trying to make a movie, and they didn't cover the We Are the World stuff. They didn't cover the Captain EO. I mean, where would that have fit into the story of the movie, right? So, yeah, it would have been interesting, sure, but what would have been the point? How does that serve the movie? And I'm not sure just throwing that in for the sake of throwing it in would have served the movie. You know what I mean? And again, listen, I enjoyed Michael. I gave it a positive review. As a celebration of Michael Jackson and a celebration of his music, I thought the movie really worked. But it also has some fairly big weaknesses as a movie. And that's why, like, I look at all the negative reviews and I understand why. Like, I totally understand, because I saw the downsides that a lot of the other critics saw. It's just that the good stuff for me outweighed all that. Like, I had a good enough time at it. To me, it's still a thumbs up movie and I enjoyed it. But I totally get, and I think just randomly throwing in the production of Captain EO, I think that would have detracted from the movie even more. That's just my opinion. All right. Thanks for that, Al. Appreciate that, man. All right. Next up, Orange Hand writes, which film currency would you put on, which film characters would you put on currency? Darth Vader. That's it. That's it. Darth Vader. Only Vader, nobody else. That's who I would put on currency. Cameron Bird writes, some say that Michael stopping right at 1988 is like making a movie about Weinstein stopping right before the 1990s. What are your thoughts? Well, I mean, two things. From the film perspective, remember, they decided a long time ago, Michael is not an isolated one-shot movie. There's going to be a second part, right? And remember, even the first part was going to include some stuff about that era, but the Michael Jackson estate, oopsie, forgot to tell the filmmakers that they weren't allowed to cover that stuff due to agreements that they had with other parties. So there's that, but I'm sure they'll get into that a little bit in the second film. So you got to make the break at some point. And I think having the break, if you're starting right at his childhood in the Jackson 5, I think stopping after Thriller was the right place to cut it off. And then you pick up after that. Now, what they'll do after that, I don't know. And what I'm going to say next is going to make some of you clutch your pearls and get your little panties twisted up a lot, but I don't give a shit, is everybody's entitled to feel about any public figure the way they want. And you're allowed to believe whatever you want to believe. One of the things that to me is a very sad thing about all of us as humanity, I include myself in this, is that all of us absolutely refuse to acknowledge that we don't know anything. We don't know anything. Well, I saw this YouTube video and I read this thing and I saw this documentary, so I know. No, you don't. You don't know shit, and neither do I. But it never ceases to amaze me how much like I said, I've been guilty of this too, man. We think we know. No, you don't. You don't know anything. Unless you were there, you don't know anything. So to me, when it comes to situations like this, I just go by, was anybody convicted of something? Like Donald Trump was. Donald Trump is a convicted felon, guys. That's not an opinion. That's a fact. I wasn't there for anything. So when they got into a court of law, was the orange-skinned heretic asshole convicted of a crime? Yes, multiple convictions. You know who wasn't convicted of anything? Michael Jackson. I know there was a really, I mean, Finding Neverland was a really strong thing, but a number of things in Finding Neverland got debunked. Never convicted of anything in a court of law. And so it leaves me to go, I can play the game of, well, I know he did it when I don't. And I'm not telling anybody else how to think. I'm not telling you how to think. I'm not saying nothing. I'm just saying how I choose to approach this type of stuff, which is, okay, well, the people who were then charged with the task of doing full, thorough investigations actually got to talk to the people involved, got to eyewitness and see things, and then take it to a legal process. And did that come to anything? And if the answer was no, then I don't concern myself with it. I'm not saying there's never going to be any exceptions to that. I'm not saying that's the way everybody else should see it. But for me, it's that. And so if they choose, and again, I'm just speaking for myself. If they choose to explore that stuff in the next movie, I have no problem with them exploring it in the next movie. If they choose not to explore it in the next movie, then I have no problem with them not exploring it in the next movie. I don't care. Unless a court of law says it has been proven beyond a reasonable doubt that somebody did something that we should be concerned about, then I generally try not to concern myself with it too much, especially if you're just talking about a celebrity singer. So, yeah. So, look, again, I'm not telling you how to think at all. I'm not crapping on anybody else who thinks a different way at all, but you asked me, so I'm giving you my opinion of it. So that's my thought on it. All right. With that said, a fair question, Cameron. Fair question. And that's my response to it. All right, next up. Andy writes, when Soldier Boy sees Jared Padalecki and Misha Collins, of course, his co-stars in Supernatural, in The Boys, he should ask them if they're a soup or a natural. Oh my God, they totally should. If they don't, that is a missed opportunity. The only sad thing about it is Bobby's not in The Boys anymore. How great would it have been to have Jensen and Jared and Misha and the guy who played Bobby all at the same time? It is crazy how many people who were in Supernatural have popped up in The Boys. Even the Winchester's dad was in The Boys. I mean, it's, of course, because Eric Kripke is the creator of both shows, so it makes sense. But that would be a missed opportunity if they don't do that. I completely agree. All right. Let's see. Next up. I do want to address this, though. GA First writes, OJ was acquitted. Does anyone believe he was innocent? Guess what? It then went to another trial. It went to a civil trial, and they did find him liable in the civil trial. A jury of his peers found that he was liable for it. So what you're saying makes no sense, because it was brought out. Now, they couldn't prove it to a degree for criminal charges, but he was found liable. Michael Jackson was never found liable of anything. That is not me defending him. That is me just stating a fact. That is a fact. He was never found liable of anything in a court like that, like O.J. Simpson was. So your example you're trying to make up doesn't hold any water. Come to me with facts, and we'll talk about facts. Anyway. All right. Next up, we've got Wayne, who writes, John, I loved Invincible Season 4. I quite enjoyed it myself, too. Thrag is a great villain. He absolutely is. Can't wait to see more of him. You made reference to the comic in your review. Have you read or watched videos about the whole comic thing? Yes to both, but I didn't read the entire thing of the comics. A friend of mine has like all the Invincible stuff and gave it to me, I think sometime during Invincible Season 2. But then I've watched some coverage of the stuff that happens later on. So yeah, I am fully versed on everything that happens in Invincible from here on out. And I feel pretty confident. Like, I'm not that confident in Dune because Denis Villeneuve has shown he'll make major, major changes to the story. Whereas what they've done with Invincible has stayed with a few minor changes like Tech Jacket being a girl now instead of a guy, but that doesn't change the story. Everything is exactly the same as it is in the comic. So I feel pretty confident that I know exactly plot beat by plot beat what happens in its finale and where it goes. So anyway, yeah, there's that. All right, thanks for that, Wayne. Next up, Andy writes, Kripke, that's the creator of Supernatural and The Boys, said The Boys season 5 was written before 2024, yes, ended, which was wild given that the US president recently posted a picture of himself as Jesus. Yeah, man. It is like with every episode that I watch of The Boys, it is wild how prophetic it is. Because they wrote that prior to like the last presidential election. It was like early 2024 or something like that they finished writing it, or even before that. And like seeing some of the stuff that they're portraying in The Boys is like, it was total prophecy, man. It's total prophecy. It's crazy how much all that is coming to fruition. All right, next up. John Redcorn writes, Tucker and Chan reportedly turned down $8 million each to return for Rush Hour 4. They each got $20 million for 3. Do you think the film actually gets made? I do not. Now, it could. It absolutely can get made. It absolutely can. But that is a movie that makes no business sense. Now, we've seen other movies get made that totally were contrary to business sense. And I say this as a big fan of Rush Hour 2. I'm not a fan of Rush Hour 1. I'm not a fan of Rush Hour 3, but I love Rush Hour 2. I love that movie. And would I be down for seeing, Tucker and Chan back together again? Sure, I'd be down for it. I don't think anybody else really would be. So you're asking me, do I think it actually gets made? It absolutely can. It's very possible it does. My pure speculative guess is that it doesn't. I've never thought, with all the talk about it, I've never really seriously thought it would actually get made. Again, it very well could. I'm not going to fall out of my seat in shock and surprise if it does. But yeah, I don't think it's going to get made. But we'll see. Who knows? All right. Next up. Jake Toven writes, Jeff Snyder says Fuqua left the Michael Jackson project and didn't direct the reshoots. I wouldn't be surprised if that was the case, because remember, first of all, actors and directors have very rigid schedules, right? A director will plan to be on a particular movie for 2.5 years, 3 years for all the pre-production work, then the production of the film, then the post-production of the film, and then they have their next projects that they have to start getting ready for. But Michael ran into a problem where they filmed this entire chunk of the movie based on something that the Michael Jackson estate failed to tell them they weren't allowed to make. And they had to totally disassemble a big chunk of the movie and go back and redo all that stuff. And it wouldn't surprise me at all that Antoine Fuqua couldn't oversee that part of it, because this movie is well over a year late. So it would not be surprising to me at all to find out that Jeff is right and that Fuqua couldn't stick around for that part of it, because that totally, I'm absolutely 100% certain he would have had to have moved on to go to his other obligations, and that somebody else would have probably had to have come in to oversee that final part. So I wouldn't be surprised at all to find out if that was true. Wouldn't be surprised at all. All right. Let's see here. We've got more to get to. Just so you know, guys, I am going to turn off the super chats in about a minute or two. Going to turn off the super chats in a minute or two. You know what, though, guys? We've been going for an hour now. I think my drink is running low. And so what I'm going to do is we're going to take a quick 3-minute break. Quick 3-minute break. To allow you guys to run, grab something to eat, talk amongst yourselves, use the bathroom, whatever. I'm going to go refill my drink, and then we will pick up and keep going with all the questions that get sent in. By the way, before we come back, I'm going to turn off the super chat. So the super chats are going to be turned on for another couple of minutes. If you do have something you want to send in, go ahead and do that. And yeah, other than that, we will be, guys, don't go anywhere. We will be right back. All right, guys, and we are back. Thank you so much for your patience as I went and refilled my drink. And let's keep things on. Now, just so you guys know, I've now turned off the super chat, so we've still got a whole ton to get through. So let's keep things rolling here, shall we? And we're going to pick up with this. Ryan just sends in a super chat badge to be supportive. Thank you, Ryan. He also then sends in a question. He says, I've said since season 2 that Ryan will kill Homelander. Butcher and Soldier Boy will play a part, but after episode 3, I've got no doubts. He'll deliver the last blow. He's a living Chekhov's gun who does not exist in the comics. If it's not Ryan, why include him to begin with? Oh, dude. No. Well, okay, first of all, nice shout out to Chekhov's gun, by the way. Chekhov's gun is basically like a film trope that says, like if you reveal something in a movie that is out of place, significant, at some point you have to show the relevance of that, right? Anyway, I disagree with you wholeheartly. Now, look, I've said for a long time that a lot of different ways, like Homelander could go out in a lot of different ways. The most obvious one and the right one is Butcher. Because the whole thing, the rivalry and the animosity from Butcher to Homelander is the entire premise of the show. It's the entire premise of the show. That's what the whole show is built on. That's what kicks off the events. That's the whole motivation of the boys even becoming a thing. But I've also said, like, listen, Soldier Boy could be it. Listen, Maeve, Queen Maeve has a lot of reason to kill Homelander. And I mean, we haven't seen her this season. We might not see her at all, but Maeve could be a perfectly good one to take him out as well. Huey, I mean, there would be something poetic about the one non-soup being Huey, being the one to take him out. Absolutely. And I've mentioned Ryan, right? Ryan, absolutely. But to put it, and I say this as a respectful film discussion between you and me, Ryan, to say, if not Ryan, why include him to begin with? Dude, what? Like Ryan, the introduction of Ryan created so many emotionally powerful story hooks. Like just the very notion of Butcher wanting to kill Homelander because of what Homelander did to his wife. And now you introduce a child who is Homelander's child, but also the child of the woman he loves. And the conflict, the inner turmoil about what that can be and represent and how that comes into play. And then Ryan himself as a character kind of becoming an avatar in many ways, being able to look at Homelander from a different perspective than everybody else. He can look at Homelander differently than the humanity does, the boys do, or even the other soups do. He looks at and allows us as the audience to see this primary character of the show through a totally different lens. Why was Ryan even in the show to begin with? Because of all of that. Ryan has been a key and pivotal character in a lot of different narratives they've played out in the show. Like to say, well, if he doesn't kill him, why is he in the show? If MM doesn't kill him, why is he in the show? If Maeve doesn't come back to kill him, why is she in the show? Like, the thing is, your question kind of undermines the value of the character of the show this whole time. Now, again, I believe it is absolutely possible and even narratively appropriate that Ryan participates in taking down Homelander, or maybe even he is the one to take down Homelander. It's absolutely possible. But to suggest that there was no point in him even being there unless he's the one to kill Homelander, I disagree with that. That completely devalues everything else he's done in this show and what he's represented and the crux to a lot of storylines that he's been. Plus, I would argue that if it's not Butcher killing Homelander, what was the point of the whole show? Again, considering that the whole thing about Homelander and Butcher is the very genesis of the boys. And I don't even think that's true. I don't think it has to be Butcher, right? I don't think it has to be Butcher that takes him down. But I'm going to say, if you're going to bring up a question like, well, if Ryan doesn't kill him, what's the point of him being there? Then I would propose well, if Butcher's not the one that kills him, what's the point of the entire show? And I personally think, Ryan, that neither are true. I think neither is true. But yes, could it be Ryan, since your name is Ryan too, could it be Ryan? It absolutely could. Does it need to be Ryan? And does it render Ryan's presence in the show as pointless if it's not him that kills him? I completely disagree. I think he's been a fabulous character. And more importantly, I think his character even being there has created some fabulous tension, some fabulous conflict, some great personal character stuff for Butcher and others. I just think his character has been fantastic. But that's just me. That's just me. Fair question, though, man. Fair question. All right. Thanks for sending that in, Ryan. Next up, Demetrius writes, hello, John. My wife and I had a chance of meeting you in Denver. I loved our Denver meetup. I thought our Denver movie meetup was a lot of fun. Anyway, I have a recommendation. The book series Dungeon Crawler Carl. I've been recommended this a lot. It's a mixture of Running Man, Dungeons and Dragons. It has a cat with laser beam eyes. Yeah, listen, as of right now, I still don't know anything about Dungeon Crawler Carl. I don't know anything about it, except I have had a lot of people recommend it. A lot of people recommend it. So at some point, I think probably for our next movie meetup, it's a long drive, man. It's going to take me about 3 days to get out to Columbus, Boston, New York. So I think Dungeon Crawler Carl is probably going to be on my Audible playing in the van as I'm driving out there. That's how Anne got through Project Hail Mary. And probably that's how I'll get through Dungeon Crawler Carl, is on the drive out to the next movie meetups. Thanks for the recommendation, man. Oh, and Demetrius sent in a $20 super chat. Thank you, Demetrius. Appreciate that, man. All right. Next up, Super Nintendo Chalmers writes, have you seen anyone online get the opening scene to Doomsday right yet? I'm not going to answer that. All due respect, Superintendent, I'm not going to answer that. I have said, as far as I'll go, is that there are some things floating around online about Doomsday in general that are actually accurate, and a whole bunch that are really not. But I'm not going to be any more specific than that. I'm not going to be any more specific than that. Yay or nay. I'm not going to be any more specific than that. All right. Ryan writes, FYI, Chekhov's gun. Oh, this is Ryan who just wrote in about Ryan. Chekhov's gun is an old writing rule that if you say there's a gun on the shelf, it must go off. Killing his dad is the perfect arc for Ryan. I'm not going to say that that's not true, but it is by far, in my opinion, it is by far more of a perfect arc for Butcher. The whole series is based on the Butcher and Homelander conflict. That's what the show's about. So again, it could be Ryan, but it would be far more appropriate to be Billy. But, you know, we'll see how they decide to play it out. We'll see how they decide to play it out. All right, Ryan also writes, fan of 13 years since I was 14. First super chat. Oh, thanks for that, Ryan. I appreciate that, dude. You know, it is amazing whenever I think about just how long I've been doing this. I wrote my first blog post for my blog called The Movie Blog. And it was so early that the domain name themovieblog.com was still available. And I wrote my very first post in the summer of 2023. Sorry, the summer of 2003, not 23. 2003. I'm in my 23rd year of doing this stuff. That is wild to me, man. Is why, and whenever I get to hear from people who write in and let me know that they've been following me for 10 years or 50. Listen, there are some viewers of the channel who have been around since the movie blog days, like have literally been watching and following my stuff for 20 years. It's kind of crazy when I think about it in that way. All right. Anyway, thank you for that, man. Appreciate that, Ryan. Next up, Bobby Jackson writes, assuming Doom is from the Fantastic Four universe, and I can say that he is. I mean, I don't feel like I'm spoiling anything at this point to say that, yes, he is. Do you think Reed feels any guilt or responsibility for what Doom will do? It's interesting that his MCU debut will be as an Avengers villain and not a Fantastic Four one. It doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter. Now, I think Kevin Feige and the Russo brothers have done a good job in the sense that they have connected Victor to the Fantastic Four. I mean, we saw that at the end of Fantastic Four, not only with Victor being there with Franklin in the post-credit scene, but also earlier in the film when we see in their version of the United Nations, there's that empty seat of Latveria where Doom should be sitting, where Victor should be sitting. I don't want to say too much more other than the fact that, you know, again, I always try to remind people of this. The Marvel movies are not the Marvel comics. And while they have been obviously inspired by and obviously influenced by the comics, the movies are not beholden to the comics. They never have been. Civil War was not beholden to the Civil War comic book story run at all. Like, it's really different. Age of Ultron was not beholden to the Ultron run in the comics. It was very different. And in that way, like Doom, you don't need to bring him in first as a Fantastic Four villain. You don't have to do that first. But I still think Kevin Feige and like I said, the Russos have done a good job of showing connection between Doom and the Fantastic Four to pay homage to that, historical thing. But yeah, I think they've done it the right way. I think they've done it the right way. At least that's as much as I can say. Anyway, good thoughts, Bobby. Good thoughts. All right. The Ninja Boy writes, I had an idea for the second part of the Michael Jackson biopic. It's going to probably be called Jackson, and he gets sued, but not for the reason you... And that was it. But not for the reason. Okay, I don't know what you mean. Maybe we'll come around to your second part a little bit later on. All right, Carlos writes, honest opinion, Project Hail Mary is aggressively average. Well, you're entitled to your opinion. Rocky was cute, but the movie has weak stakes. The plot structure kills tension and it drags. Listen, there are people who feel the same way about The Godfather. There are people who feel the same way about Star Wars. And that's the beautiful thing about movies. The beautiful thing, the most precious, most amazing, and most perfect thing about movies is that as art, we all experience it in different ways, right? There are legitimately people out there who don't think The Godfather Part 2 is a good movie. And they're not wrong. That's just the way the movie hit them. Now, obviously, I disagree completely, but that's the beautiful nature of art. It strikes us all and it makes different impressions on all of us. And you are neither right nor wrong for liking a piece of art. It either appeals to you or it does not work for you. Same is true for movies. Now, I radically disagree with every single one of your statements. I think you are so far off on the other side of Mars and all that, but that doesn't mean you're wrong. If that's how it hit you, that's how it hit you. And I think the majority of us would disagree, and that's okay because I'm sometimes in the minority as well. Like there's lots I'll review. I do nothing but be honest on this channel. And quite often that means I'm saying I like something that other people don't, or I'm saying I don't like something that other people do. Doesn't mean I'm right. Doesn't mean I'm wrong. I'm just telling you how it hit me and why I thought it was good or bad. And yeah, every single one of your statements I think is completely off, but that was your experience with it. So it is what it is. All right. Thanks, Carlos. Next up, Richard K writes, do you think we will get a Gladiator 3? I don't think so. Gladiator 2 stunk. It wasn't the worst thing. It wasn't in the top 5 worst movies of the year or anything like that, but it wasn't very good. It was a shallow, poor man's version of the original Gladiator. And it did not do as well as they thought it would do. And yeah, I don't think the studio is going to spend the money on it. I really don't. And look, I hate saying it, but it's relevant to this discussion. Ridley Scott is no doubt a first ballot Hall of Famer. There is no question about it. There's no doubt about it. But it's still fair to acknowledge that and also be true at the same time that he has not been the same filmmaker for a long time. I think he's made one film in the last 15 years that I think is any good, and it was great, The Martian. The Martian was great. Maybe my favorite, well, no, Gladiator's still my favorite movie he's ever done. But probably my second favorite movie that Ridley Scott has done is The Martian. It's unbelievable. It's fantastic. But when you look at his like recent lineup, man, I don't know. Napoleon was tremendously disappointing. I didn't think Gladiator 3 was very good. The Last Duel, which I was really excited about because, Matt Damon, Ben Affleck together, all that kind of stuff. I thought that was a absurdly disappointing movie. I just don't think he's got it anymore. I hope to be proven wrong. And again, first ballot Hall of Famer, one of the all-time greats. But I just don't know that he's got it anymore. And I am now at a point I've been disappointed by enough of his movies that I'm now at a point that I don't give the next Ridley Scott movie the benefit of the doubt. You know, with some filmmakers, Denis Villeneuve, Christopher Nolan, whatever, Peter Jackson, I'm going to trust in their movie until I see it and it proves otherwise that it's bad. If I'm being honest, I'm on the opposite side of that now with Ridley Scott. I am not giving his movies the benefit of the doubt anymore. I now approach Ridley Scott movies with skepticism until I see it and it proves otherwise. So, and I don't like feeling that way. I don't choose to feel that. That's just how I naturally feel. But anyway, yeah, back to the question. No, I don't think there's going to be a third, but that doesn't mean there won't be. Doesn't mean they won't be. But you're asking me if I think there will be. I don't think there will be. We'll see. All right. Brandon Bowers writes, regarding Michael's Rotten Score, to be fair, only 4 of Antoine Fuqua's 13 movies, not named Equalizer, have positive reviews. Yeah, I just really think I think he's a wonderful filmmaker. I really do. I like his stuff a lot. And you know, I said this on the show the other day, and I stand by this. A lot of Michael Jackson fans, of which I am one, but all moviegoers do this. If there's a movie they like or want to like, and there's negative reviews, the first thing movie fans do is make up excuses. That's the first thing we do. Movie fans are the worst at making up excuses. So Michael Jackson fans want Michael to be great, or they saw it and they really liked it, like I did. And then they see there are negative reviews. And the first thing they do is not go, well, yeah, let's talk about some of the things that they saw as weaknesses in the film, or, oh man, it's a shame that they didn't like it. I did. Oh, well, no. What movie fans do, what we are constantly guilty of, all of us, is the very first thing we do is we rush to make up an excuse. Something to invalidate that a lot of the critics didn't like the movie as much as they did or as much as I did. And the go-to excuse, pathetic, weak, pussy-ass excuse that a lot of people do right now with the Michael one is say, well, they just always hated Michael Jackson. No, they didn't. The movie critics never hated Michael Jackson. What the fuck are you talking about? You're just making shit up now. I personally know a number of these film critics who gave Michael a negative review, and they were dying to see this movie. They were excited for this movie. They were looking forward to this movie. And it didn't work for them. They just thought there were too many negatives. The negatives hit them harder than they hit me. The positives didn't hit them as hard as they did hit me. And they just didn't like it. That's movies. That's movies. And, something like Elias and Elijah saying, they said it's because they didn't put content. Who is they? There's like over 1,000 reviews of this thing. And you like, this is the thing that drives me crazy. I was having this debate with somebody. It's like, there's 1,000 reviews of Michael Jackson, and they pull out 2 or 3 people who said they should have gone into the controversy. That's less than half of 1% of the reviews. You're reaching, you're stretching. They just didn't like it because they didn't think it was a very well put together movie. Now, I said on the John Campea show, I think it was yesterday when I did an episode of the John Campea show, we were talking about the insane big box office success of Michael and the A- cinema score it got and all the success it's having. And we talked a little bit on the John Campea show yesterday about the discrepancy between the critic reviews and the audience reviews, which was like 50%, like a 50-point difference between the critic reviews and the audience reviews. Critics and audiences love Spider-Man. Critics and audiences love the Avengers. Critics and audiences loved Oppenheimer. Critics and audiences, but with Michael, and every once in a while we come across a movie where there's a big discrepancy, like the one in Michael. And we talked yesterday about, well, why was this discrepancy here? And I propose, and I believe this, this is my best guess. I could be wrong. I'm just proposing this as my best guess. It's the same reason why there's a discrepancy in the critic reviews and the audience reviews of the 1983 classic Breakin', movie about breakdancing, in which had a much higher, about a 40-point difference between the critic score of Breakin' and the audience score of Breakin'. And why? Well, I mostly attribute it to, and this is my best guess, just a guess, is that people who aren't into breakdancing didn't go to see Breakin'. It's people who are into breakdancing, want to see a celebration of breakdancing, elevation of breakdancing, and just see good breakdancing. And if you make a movie then for breakdancing fans who just want to see breakdancing celebrated and want to see some good breakdancing on the screen, they are more likely to come out happy, like I did, as Pisces of the Zodiac crew. That was me. The movie critics, however, don't have the luxury of just going to see movies that happen to look like they're interesting to them. And so they go into a movie like Breakin', and they're strictly going to evaluate it on how it is as a movie, in the classical sense of a well put together story with deep characters, good narrative flow. Like movie critics go into those movies looking for a good movie on its own merits. Whereas a lot of us who went to go see Breakin', that wasn't our primary concern. Our primary concern was to see a celebration of breakdancing, elevating breakdancing, bringing breakdancing into the mainstream. And so we were happy. That's why Breakin' got such a much higher audience score than it did from the critics. I think the same thing is true of Michael. Do you think people who don't like Michael Jackson went to go see Michael? They didn't. The people who went to go see Michael, like me, are Michael Jackson fans who wanted to go see a celebration of Michael Jackson and a celebration of his music. And on that level, Michael really works. It hums. Totally hums. I had a good time with it on that level. And that's why I give it a positive review and why I liked it. That said, as far as a motion picture goes, as a movie goes, it has some pretty glaring weaknesses. It really does. And so if you're somebody who goes into Michael, not necessarily going just to see a celebration of Michael, but to see a good, well put together movie, then you are more likely to walk out having had a negative experience. So that is my kind of guess on because listen, if everybody went to go see Michael, the audience reactions, you're not getting the people who feel negatively about Michael Jackson. You're not getting the reactions from people who don't care about Michael Jackson. You're not getting you're getting the reactions from people who wanted to go see Michael because they're big fans of Michael Jackson, want to celebrate Michael and his life and his music. And so, like Breakin', you are much more likely to get positive audience reviews. Well deserved. Well deserved. But people who don't go in with those motivations, like, say, film critics, they're not going to be as moved by that. They're going to look for the other things, and the other things that even I have to admit are probably true. It was weaker in some areas. It really was. But that's just my take on it. Whatever. All right. Next up, we've got Edgar Navarro writes, John says he may or may not be wearing pants. Unlocks core memory of him not wearing pants on random show, and we saw him in his underwear. Yep, that happened. That was what I was referencing. That was directly what I was referencing. For those of you who don't know, and I think most of you do, but there was an incident once where I literally did a show without pants. And somebody was mentioning a figure I had on a shelf behind me. And I, not even thinking about it, I went, oh yeah, this figure. And everybody saw that I was not wearing any pants. I went trowelless. Now, thankfully, I was wearing my underwear. Thankfully. Didn't want to traumatize the world with putting Campea, the glory of Campea's ass out there. But yes, that is exactly what I was referencing earlier in the show today. All right. Next up, Richard K. writes, do you think we will get another Bourne movie? I do think we'll get another Bourne one. Now, the last Bourne movie was terrible. The one where basically it's Jason Bourne fighting Facebook. It wasn't called Facebook, but that's what it was. It was Jason Bourne fighting Facebook. That was a terrible movie. But do I think they'll go back and do another one? I do. I think Greengrass and Matt Damon will get together and give it another run before they reboot it. I do think they'll reboot Bourne at some point, but I think I don't have any insider information. I don't know this is a fact, but you're asking me, do I think they'll do another one? I think they will. I think at some point we'll get another one. All right, next up. eCats writes, hey, Unc, Campea, and Dr. Auntie Ann. By the way, guys, I don't know why everybody misspells Ann's name. There is no E in Ann. Just so you know, there's no E in Ann. It's just A-N-N. Anyway, Auntie Ann, I think when Doomsday arrives, it's going to be hell for the movie theaters. It absolutely will, especially during the Christmas season. The Campea crew might have to lend a hand. Oh, no chance I'm helping any of them out. Yeah, man, listen, I remember when the first Avengers movie came out. That was when I was still doing AMC Movie Talk, and we were still had our studio at the AMC Burbank 16, now officially the busiest movie theater in North America. That's where we had our studio. And we were covering the opening night of Avengers, and it was madness. It was absolute madness. It was the first time I had ever seen a movie theater literally run out of straws. Then they started running out of cups. And then they had to stop selling popcorn because they ran out of popcorn buckets. I mean, it was insanity. And listen, I absolutely guarantee you, there are movie theater general managers all across North America right now in April that are losing sleep worrying about how the hell are they going to manage Doomsday. How are they going to manage it? They got to start ordering triple all the supplies they ever have. It is going to be madness. It's going to be absolute madness. Good luck finding parking at whatever movie theater you like to go to. Go early or Uber or do like I do, ride your scooter. Yeah, I have a scooter. I have, I don't know why, side note, I went down this rabbit trail about a year ago of watching people on, like watching YouTube videos of people who ride scooters. But I mean the ones you stand on, you know, you stand on and go. So for about 3 months, I researched scooters. And I eventually bought this one scooter that gets up to, I hope I'm not misleading here. I think what it gets up to is 45 miles per hour. It's wicked. It's wicked. It makes people look funny, like when I take it out on the street and like I'm literally passing, like if I'm in not a street that has a 50-mile-an-hour speed limit, like whatever, like if it's 35-mile-an-hour speed limit on a street, and like seeing some people look when a dude on a scooter passes them on the street. It's pretty fun. Pretty fun. I enjoy it. So like I use it a couple of times a week, like when I go to my gym. If it's a bad weather, I take the car to the gym. If not, I just hop on the scoots and take the scoot there. When I got to go to CVS or whatever, I'll just jump on the scoot and go. And then sometimes at nights, I just go out for rides on the scooter. I really like my scooter. Why did I bring up the scooter? What were we talking about? Why did I just, because we were talking about parking. That's right. Parking on Doomsday. My train of thought. All right. So parking on Doomsday. Yeah. Either go really damn early, take an Uber, or do like me sometimes and just take the scoots. Take a scoots and just chain it up when you get there. Because it is going to be madness. Madness on Doomsday, my friends. All right. Let's see here. Richard K. writes, Do you think before the end of this year, by Christmas, we will find out who the new James Bond is? I don't. We might. I don't think we will. I think they are going to have Denis Villeneuve play a part in that. And I think Denis Villeneuve's dance card is completely filled. Because remember, Denis Villeneuve is going to be directing the new James Bond. And I think his dance card is completely full until he gets Dune 3 out in theaters. And that's at Christmas. So could they announce by Christmas who the new James Bond is? They could. It can happen. My guess, pure guess, is that they won't. I don't think we'll find out until, maybe by February or March of next year. But I'm not expecting that we'll find out before Dune 3 gets put out in theaters. Again, I could be totally wrong about that. That's just my guess. All right, next up. Johnny Weiner writes, over under 50%, Batman will make some kind of appearance in Clayface. Under. By the way, this movie feels like it's inspired by Batman animated series Clayface episode, in my opinion. I don't really, I've heard somebody else say that, Johnny. I don't feel the same way about it. But as far as your over and under, I'll do one better. I'll put it under 5%. The movie's shot. They haven't cast their new Batman yet. At least they haven't announced who it is. So no. Maybe there'll be a reference to Batman or something. But do we actually see Batman in the Clayface movie? I don't think so. I'll say not only under 50%, I'll say under 5%. So not a complete impossibility, but yeah, I'm going to say under 5% on that one. All right. Lewis writes, thoughts on Stranger Things Tales from 85. Couldn't give two squirts of piss about it. Don't care. Not watching it. Have no interest in watching it. I've heard it's not good. I can't myself say for sure it's not good because I haven't seen it. I've heard it's not good, but I really don't care about it. I like Stranger Things. I'm not interested in watching a bastardization animated version of it, though. All right. Next up, X-Men Superfan writes, do you believe that Anne Bancroft, Miracle Maker, deserved to win over Bette Davis, Baby Jane? Listen, I would have to go back and look at the full roster of who was nominated that year and everything. I can't just off the top of my head. Like sometimes people ask me questions that I would need to have some data in front of me on. And I just don't have that information off the top of my head. So I would have to sit before I could give any kind of an intelligent answer on that. I would have to actually look what all came out that year. Who were the full list of nominees? And I really can't do that right here. It's a fair question. I just can't answer that off the top of my head. All right. Buster Barnes writes, hey, John, can you rank the 4 comic book movies this year based on your anticipation and then based on how good you think they'll actually be? What are the comic book movies this year? So we got Clayface, Spider-Man, Doomsday, and what else? What's the 4th one? What am I forgetting? Guys in live chat, help me out. What's the one I'm forgetting? Supergirl, of course. Supergirl. Thank you, Mighty Tank. And Dark Knights. Supergirl. Okay. Whew. Okay. So look, I don't necessarily think it'll be the best one. It might be the best one. I'm not saying it will be the best one, but I mean, come on. The one we're most anticipating is Doomsday, of course. That movie's going to be bonkers. I think my second one, a week and a half ago, my second most anticipated one would have been Supergirl. But I think I got to say Clayface now. I'm telling you guys, that presentation, that trailer, it just fascinated me. Absolutely fascinated me. And now I just simply cannot wait. I cannot wait to see what they're going to do with that. So I will say, and I'm very excited about all of them. Let me just say that right now. I'm excited about all of them. So for me, it would be number 1, Doomsday. Number 2, now Clayface. Number 3, Supergirl. Number 4, Spider-Man Brand New Day. And again, it's 2, 3, and 4 are all pretty close. Like there's Doomsday up here for me. Then it's 2, 3, and 4. I am excited for all of them. It's a very small margin that separates all of them for me. But yeah, I'll go Doomsday number 1, Clayface number 2, Supergirl number 3, and Spider-Man Brand New Day number 4. All right. Let's see. Next up, we've got Rich Reviews writes, if you were Netflix, what would you take from this whole experience with Warner Brothers Paramount? Would you make a play for Disney? No, Disney's not for sale. There's no making a play for Disney, and they can't afford Disney. Would you make a play for Disney or Universal, or do you wait till the debt becomes too much? Me personally, I have nothing to back this up with. Nothing to back this up with. From a factual point of view, you're simply asking me a theoretical. My feeling, which could be totally wrong, I think they're just biding their time. I think they believe Paramount will fail. I think that's their belief. Whether they're right or wrong is up for debate, but I think their belief is that Paramount is going to fail. And they'll just sweep in and get it in 2 or 3 years. And, I also believe there was a good chance that they could, because, listen, Comcast has made some overtures implying that NBC Universal could be up for sale. Comcast has made some moves that you could interpret as them kind of letting it be known they might be open to offers for NBC Universal. And so I thought for a while that could become a target for Netflix then. But NBC Universal, and I say as somebody who likes Peacock, and I cannot wait for the Odyssey and all that kind of stuff, but NBC Universal is not as tasty a treat as Warner Brothers would be, because you get HBO, which is the ultimate gold standard of everything on television. That's the gold standard, is HBO. So you got HBO and HBO Max, and you've got Warner Brothers with a much richer library. And honestly, I think to Netflix, I think a big jewel on that crown was DC. DC under Peter Safran and James Gunn, I think to them was a very juicy part of that acquisition. So yeah, I thought for a while they could turn their attention to Universal, but Universal does not come with the value that having Warner Brothers did. And right now, what I think Netflix's approach is, and again, could be way wrong, they believe that Paramount is massively overpaying for it, and they are. They're massively overpaying. And they believe Paramount's going to fail. And I think they believe in 2 or 3 years, Paramount will be in the same position AT&T was when they owned Warner Brothers. And they're going to be, we can't make this work. And I think they're going to step in then and buy it. Hell, Netflix may end up buying Paramount and Warner Brothers in 2 or 3 years. Or Paramount might be super successful in 2 or 3 years. Who knows? But I think, right or wrong, I believe that Sandros and the folks over at Netflix, I believe right now, they're just waiting. I think they're just waiting. I think they want to be in the movie business. I think they want Warner Brothers. And I think they believe they're going to be able to get it. Again, right or wrong, we'll see. But that's what I think they're about this. By the way, let me get the name right. Adnabin, 1985 in the live chat is saying, wasn't this all about just CNN? Guys, please listen to me. Please listen to me. I've said this before. I will say this again. It's basic math. It's basic math. Is there a political angle to Paramount going after Warner Brothers? Sure. Yes. But to all the people who, well-meaning, well-intentioned, well-meaning people who just say, this is just all about them wanting to get CNN. Ask me if that makes financial sense. Go ahead. Ask me if that makes financial sense. No, I want you to ask me. Please ask me. Guys, ask me if that makes financial sense. Go ahead. Ask me. I'm waiting. Somebody in live chat. Ask me if that makes financial sense. Go ahead. Nobody's wanting to do it. I'm looking at the live chat. All right. WNN saying, does that make financial sense? Why would you ask me such a stupid question? Obviously, it doesn't make any financial sense. Guys, Warner Brothers' plan. Can we just put this thing about they only wanted to get CNN to bed? Warner Brothers' plan, what they were going to do is Warner Brothers was about to spin off. They were about to jettison CNN and TNT and all the other television networks. They were about to spin all of that off so that Warner Brothers and HBO could just be its own company. And they were about to get rid of all the other stuff, including CNN, into its own thing. Do you know what the value of that spun off company with CNN and TNT and everything in it? Do you know what the value of that company was going to be? $2 billion. If all Paramount wanted was CNN, they could have sat on their asses for 6 months, waited until Warner Brothers jettisoned CNN and all the television properties other than HBO and HBO Max. They were going to jettison all the other stuff. And then they could have come in and bought that new separate company for like $2 or $3 billion. Why would they spend $111 billion to buy the whole thing if all they really wanted was CNN? Why would they do that? It makes no sense. There is no logic to that. None. My brothers and sisters, there is no logic to that. It's like saying, John, I'm going to give you, can I offer you $1 million for your house? Can I give you, John, $1 million for your house? And I go, okay, sure. Give me $1 million for my house. When all you really wanted was my Sons of Anarchy autographed. And yes, this Sons of Anarchy leather cut from the show, autographed by all the main stars of the show. It's one of my favorite possessions. But it's like you offering me $1 million for my house when all you really wanted was that thing. And I would probably sell you that thing for like $2,000 or $3,000. Why wouldn't you just give me $2,000 or $3,000 if all you really wanted was my Sons of Anarchy cut? Why would you give me $1 million for something I could give to you for $2,000 or $3,000? It makes no sense. It makes no sense. Was there a piece of this that Paramount wanted CNN? Sure. Yeah, of course. But if all this was really about, this is just really about them getting CNN, they easily could have gotten it then for like $2 billion. Why would they spend $111 billion when all they needed to do was spend $2 or $3 billion? It just doesn't make any sense. There's no logic to that. So anyway, that's kind of I'm sorry. And by the way, whoever wrote that in, I don't mean to give you a hard time. This is just us as film brothers and sisters busting each other's balls a little bit. I'm honestly not trying to dump on you or give you a hard time. I'm just saying, like, this is something that's been going on. This whole thing about this is just all about CNN. It's like, how does that make any sense? That doesn't make any logical sense whatsoever. Anyway, I mean, say what you want about David Ellison, and I've got some opinions about David Ellison, but he really does want Warner Brothers. Whether that's a good thing or a bad thing, we can absolutely discuss that. But say what you want about David Ellison. He really, truly does want Warner Brothers. I don't want him to have it, but yeah, CNN a part of it? Sure, to a degree, but this isn't all about CNN, because if it is, they're overspending by about 107, 108, 109 billion dollars. Anyway, thus endeth the rant. All right, let's keep going here, shall we? Bry Guy writes, another reason I'm hyped for Doomsday is the fact that we hopefully get trailers for Man of Tomorrow, Beyond the Spider-Verse, and Starfighter that week. I don't listen. If we're going to get trailers for those that week, we would get trailers for those whether or not Doomsday was happening. Now, if what you're saying is you're excited for Christmas time because you think around Christmas we're going to get trailers for that stuff. Yeah, but it has nothing to do with Doomsday. It has absolutely nothing to do with Doomsday. But yeah, around that time, we could start getting some glimpses at stuff like that, Bry Guy. All right, Rich Reviews writes, of the 98 Best Picture winners, how many I've seen? You mean how many have I seen? I don't have that number off the top of my head. I won't say all of them. I'm sure there are a couple I haven't. I'm going to guess 85, anywhere between 85 and 90 of them. I think there's anywhere between like 6, 7, and maybe 10 or 15 that I haven't, but I'm going to, my guess off the top of my head is probably about 85 of them. Guessing. But that's where I put my guess. All right, next up. Ty Hubbard writes, have you had a chance to see Beef Season 2 yet? Incredible. I have not. You know, it's so funny you mentioned that because Ann and I were out the other night and she was on her phone. I was driving, so she was on her phone. She said, wait a minute. I didn't even realize there was a Beef Season, because she loves Beef Season 1. She's like, I didn't even realize there was a Beef Season 2. I'm like, you didn't know that? So it's just kind of funny you bring that up. But no, I have not had a chance to see Beef Season 2, which is weird because I really like Season 1, but I have not seen Season 2 yet. But I've heard it's really, really good. Thanks for keeping that on the radar, Ty. All right, Rich again writes in and writes, when a film financially bombs and bombs hard, who falls on their sword for it? Is it the studio executive, the director, the writer, or the producer? Which career gets negatively affected by it? Well, I mean, like when you say, let's go with your language. When a film bombs, when a grenade goes off, it hurts everybody standing around it. I mean, not many people get away unscathed when a flop happens, right? Here's a good example of it. Here's a good example. Last night, me, Ann, and a couple of friends were watching the LA Laker basketball game against Houston Rockets. By the way, I don't know if there's anybody who are from Houston in the live chat right now, but oh my God, my condolences to you guys. Up by 6 points and you have the ball and there's only 30 seconds left in the game and you end up losing. That was a choke. I've rarely seen a choke on that level. My heart goes out to you guys, for any of you guys in Houston. Anyway. So, oh yeah. Tykra in the live chat is saying LeBron still has it. Listen, I'm sorry. The debate's over. LeBron's the GOAT. I'm sorry. But every data point now shows LeBron James is the GOAT. Just is, period, end of sentence. There's no more discussion. It's over. Anyway, that being said, so we're watching the basketball game and a trailer comes on in one of the commercials for that new Ben Kingsley, Aaron Eckhart movie. What's the name of it, guys? What's the name of it? Where the plane crashes and then all the survivors are getting attacked by sharks. What is it? Guys, anybody remember? I think it might be Deep Water. Yeah, Dank is saying Deep Water, I think. So Deep Water, right? So this is a great example of this. One of my friends said, whatever happened to that guy, like Aaron Eckhart? It's like he was the hottest guy in Hollywood, and all of a sudden he just kind of disappeared, right? Like there was a window of time, like Thank You for Smoking, Dark Knight, movies like that, where Aaron Eckhart was like, it felt like he was about to be the guy. He was about to be the guy. And then, look, I'm not definitively saying this is what it was, but then he did that alien invasion movie. Like, I can't remember if it was called Battle Los Angeles or something like that. He did this alien invasion movie. And nobody went to go see it. Nobody went to go see it. And it flopped hard. And again, I don't have proof that we can definitively point to that thing and say that was it, but it feels like his career was never the same after that. And that movie was not his fault at all. He's still every bit as good of an actor as he has ever been, but that movie came out and it flopped. And all of us, ever since then, you just didn't see him nearly as much or as prominently. I mean, he popped up in the, like he was the president in, what was Gerard Butler's White House movie? Angel Has Fallen or White House Down or whatever it was called. I think he was like the president. Olympus Has Fallen. Thank you, Jamel. Olympus Has Fallen. Like he's popped up in like a Frankenstein movie and like that Olympus Has Fallen, and he's popped up here and there, but Aaron Eckhart as the emerging next big A-list guy in the business, it kind of ended after that. All that's to say is that when a movie financially and big movie seriously flops hard, it affects everybody, right? I mean, idealistically, it's not the director's fault if they made a good movie, and we've seen good movies flop. All the director and the actors can do is make as good of a movie as they can. And if they do make a really good movie and it still flops, it's not their fault. But I mean, they get damaged by it. Certainly executives get damaged by it. Producers get damaged. Yeah. Look, just sum it up by saying there's a lot of blame to go around. There's a lot of blame to go around, and a lot of people catch blame. All right. Bobby writes, did you see the Hasbro pre-order figures for the new Spider-Man movie? I have not. When there were rumors of Grey Hulk, I didn't think they meant his hair. I have not seen these toys. I have not seen these images, Bobby. So I don't really know what we're talking about. I don't know in what context you mean that. So I've not seen them, but I am definitely going to go and look them up when the show's over because I want to see these things. All right. Next up, Rich writes, I always wanted to ask a Canadian this. Explain the appeal of Degrassi. I can't. I was never a Degrassi guy. But it seems like here's the funny thing. I feel like people in the US like Degrassi more than Canadians did. I myself was never a Degrassi guy. Never was. I knew a bunch of Canadians that really loved it, but when coming down here, it's like how many Americans are crazy about Degrassi. I cannot explain the appeal of it. Yeah, I myself cannot explain the appeal of it because I don't get the appeal of it, but hey, whatever. A lot of people seem to love it. All right. Next up. Bobby writes, John, did you see the price of AMC A-List is going up $2 in July? I did. It's going up to, for me in California, it's going up to $29. And listen, they did a price increase last year. I think they did a $1 price increase last year, which was their first price increase in like 5 years. I don't think I'm exaggerating. I think that's accurate. I think it was the first time they did a price increase on AMC A-List in like 5 years. And when they did that $1 price increase, they also increased the benefits of AMC A-List. Because at the time, if you were an AMC A-List member, you could have up to 3 movies tickets to movies lined up in your queue and up to 12 movies a month that you could go to see. Well, damn. When they did the $1 price increase, they increased that from 3 movies in your queue to 4 movies in your queue, and they increased you from 12 movies a month to 16 movies a month. To me, that was absolutely a fair trade-off. Absolutely fair. And especially when you consider that, again, it was like their first price increase in like 5 years. So then I hear they increase their prices again now by $2 more. So now for me, it's going to be like $29. Honestly, guys, what you get for A-List is so ridiculously big that $29 a month, if you go to movies as regularly as I do, is nothing. Because listen, the reality is, if I go to a Saturday night movie, like a brand new movie on a Saturday night or a Friday night in AMC Prime, I'm probably paying $21 or $22 for a movie ticket. But I pay $29 for A-List and I can see 16 movies. Let's say I only see 10. Let's say in a month I only go to the movies 10 times. That would be a small month for us, for me and Ann. But let's say I only go to the movies 10 times. Let's say the average ticket price, let's say it's not always Saturday night in AMC Prime, it's not $22. Let's just say $15. It's more expensive than that here, but let's say $15. That's $150 worth of movie tickets that I'm getting, even if I only go 10 times and not 16 times. But if I only go 10 times, that's $150 to $200 in movie tickets I'm getting for $30, for $29. For me, it is still a wildly good value. And I get discounts on my popcorn. And I get discounts on my soda. And I get reward points, so I get free popcorn and free soda sometimes. And I don't have to pay online ticketing fees. And. Yeah, listen, you guys know I'll complain a lot about AMC because they deserve it in a lot of circumstances. But the A-List thing, listen, even by increasing the price by $2, even at $29, guys, even if you go to the movies just twice a month, even if you just go twice a month, it's worth it. And even if you just go once a week, 4 times a month, it is way more than paying for itself. I still think it's a tremendous deal. I still think it's an absolutely tremendous deal. But that's my take on it. Anyway. All right. Thanks, Bobby. Next up. Quentin Chambers writes, your guess on Spider-Man brand new day ticket sales date? No idea. Doesn't matter. Who cares? They could put it on sale 2 weeks before the movie comes out. They could put it on sale tomorrow. Makes no difference. There's going to be a huge rush to buy the tickets whatever day they put them on sale. So I really don't have a guess, and I really don't care. I mean, I'll care to know in advance, but I don't care which day it is. Like, I don't care if it's a week from now. I don't care if it's a month from now. As long as we know, have a little bit of heads up so we can get ready to buy our tickets, that's it. But honestly, I have no idea when I don't really think it matters, to be honest with you, Quentin. Just giving my honest opinion, I don't think it matters when they put them on sale. All right, Richard K. writes, better Charlton Heston movie, Ben-Hur, 10 Commandments, Ben-Hur. Ben-Hur. Both from a technical point of view, story flow point of view, all that kind of stuff. 10 Commandments is amazing. It's an all-time great for sure. Let my people go. It's amazing. But Ben-Hur is, Ben-Hur's Ben-Hur. So I'll say Ben-Hur, Richard. Other people may disagree, and that's totally fine. But for me, I think Ben-Hur is the better movie. All right, Mighty Tank 1 writes, what happens if the U.S. approves the Paramount merger, but the EU doesn't? Do they have any real say? Yeah. Yeah, if the EU doesn't, it means they can't operate. And that's a problem. It's kind of like the same thing that Apple faces, right? Like, Apple wants to do business in the EU. So a year or two ago, probably 2 years ago now, Apple was still using their effing ridiculous Lightning connector instead of USB-C like every other device in the world. A much better connection. USB-C is so superior to the Lightning cable. But it was Apple's proprietary connector, so they could make a lot of money on it. Anyway, the US government was fine with Apple using a Lightning connector. But the UK said, you can't do business here unless you follow our new law, which was if you're going to sell phones or devices, you have to have a standard USB-C connection on it. And even though that was in Europe and not here, Apple wants to do business in Europe. So they totally changed their iPhones and they got rid of the Lightning connector and they put USB-C on it, which is much better anyway. Yes, it will create, if the reason David Ellison has gone to Europe a couple of times to, what's the word I'm looking for? Not campaign. Oh, guys, when you're going there to make your case, it's to, there's a political word for it. Lobby. Thank you. Marcus Y. Thank you. Why did I freeze on the word lobby? Yes, Marcus Y, the word lobby. The reason David Ellison has traveled to Europe several times in the last few months is specifically to lobby governments over there to get on board with the Paramount merger. If the European Union decides that they don't approve this, it can't happen. But listen, honestly, I don't think Europe's going to be their problem. I think the main problem that Paramount is going to face here at home is not the federal government, but rather individual state attorney generals. They could pose a real problem. Again, I think it's going to go through. Just for the record, I think it's going to go through. But I don't think Europe's going to really present a problem to them. I don't think the federal government here is going to present a problem to them. I think the one hurdle they're really going to have to overcome is state issues, and we'll see if anything comes of that. All right. Next up. Richard K writes, you think we'll ever get a big screen Xena movie? Oh, absolutely not. No. If there was ever going to be something like that, the time for that would have been like 15 years ago. I don't think there's an audience for it. I really don't think they'll make one of those. I'd be interested if they did, but I don't think they will. All right. Rich Reviews writes, what do you think is more likely to happen? Either an animated film or a documentary film wins Best Picture. Animated film. I think it's much more likely than animated film. Listen, I've made documentaries. I have a huge respect for documentaries and documentary filmmakers. You're never going to see a documentary win Best Picture. I don't think so. I don't even know if a documentary's ever been nominated. I'm not saying they haven't. Maybe they have. I just can't think of any off the top of my head. Maybe they have once or twice. But yeah, I think it is much more likely that an animated film does it. Animated films have been nominated 3 times. 3 animated films in history have been nominated for Best Picture. The very first one ever was Beauty and the Beast. That was the first one ever that got nominated. Then Up was nominated for Best Picture, and Toy Story 3 was nominated for Best Picture. Those are the 3 that has happened. So yeah, I think, you'll see it. At some point, it's going to happen. But I don't think it will for a documentary. Again, maybe, the future will prove me wrong, but I think it's much more likely to be animated. Rich also writes, given that you're friends with several pro wrestlers, how you like to be one and live that life? 0. No interest in that. And I am not personal friends. I don't know whatever gave you the impression that I'm personal friends with several pro wrestlers. I've met several pro wrestlers. I'm not personal friends with any professional wrestlers. Like I said, I've met a couple of them, but I'm not. But anyway, I've seen enough on what a calendar year is like. Oh yeah, Nigel. Yeah, I don't know why I forget about Nigel. Yes, I am friends with Nigel McGuinness. Why didn't I? I was thinking everybody in the WWE. But I got to know Nigel before he started wrestling again. I got to know Nigel when his professional wrestling career was over and he was doing color commentary. When I met him, he was doing commentary on NXT. And then he went from NXT. I think he started doing some WWE stuff. And then he went over to AEW. And now he's wrestling again, which is amazing. But no, I would never want that life. Not me. No way. I would never, ever want that life. Ever. All right. Next up. Rich also writes $20 super chat. Thank you, man. Considering you're a former lawyer, can you watch legal shows without nitpick? Not really, no. My dad, recently retired doctor, under limited exception, refused to watch any medical shows because he didn't want to be reminded of work. Well, that's not it, but the nitpicks do happen a lot. The main thing that happens with me when watching anything in a movie or a TV show that has like legal stuff going on or a court case, right? The biggest one that always happens is, and they do it in every legal movie and every TV show and all this kind of stuff, is the surprise witness or the surprise piece of evidence. What do you mean, John? Well, you know what I mean, right? Like there's a murder trial going on, and like the defense is saying, Your Honor, the prosecution would have you believe that my client murdered his wife in Boston on July 3rd. But we have this picture of him in Los Angeles on July the 3rd. Ooh! And then all the jury's like, ooh! And the prosecution's like, Your Honor, may we approach the bench? We didn't know this. Yeah. See, that doesn't actually happen. As a matter of fact, it's extremely illegal for that to happen. There's a little thing, I'm not going to go into it a lot, but there's a little thing in law called disclosure, right? Where basically, you have to, before a trial ever starts, you have to, if you're a prosecution, in say it's a criminal matter, if it's a civil matter, whatever, but in a criminal matter, whatever evidence you have before the trial ever starts, you have to present all of that evidence, all of the witnesses you're going to call, all of the affidavits you've recorded and noted, all the physical evidence, all the digital evidence, everything. You have to disclose that to the other side. You have to. This whole thing of, ladies and gentlemen, we will present this to the court. And it catches everybody surprise. Every single legal show does it. Every single legal movie does it. And that's just not how it works. It's just not how it works. As a matter of fact, let's bring this to a recent incident. So the Alec Baldwin stuff, right? So Alec Baldwin, of course, was being charged with something he shouldn't have been charged with, quite frankly. And I'll debate that on a legal basis with anybody. But he shouldn't have been charged. But he got charged. And then it got revealed that the prosecution had evidence that they did not disclose to the defense. And it was a big thing. It was a really big thing. But the prosecution thought, oh no, we have this big piece of evidence, but we think it helps the defense, so we're just not going to disclose it to them. We're just going to keep it hidden. And that got revealed, and the judge threw the whole thing out. I'm oversimplifying it, but the general thing is, so that's a little bit of an example of one of those little things that drives me crazy. All right, next up, X-Men Superfan writes, what are the 3 best animated films Disney ever made? I don't do lists off the top of my head like that. I would have to sit down and think. I will say that my all-time favorite animated film, my number one all-time animated film, is The Lion King. The original one. The original Lion King is my all-time favorite animated movie. I love Aladdin. If you want to include Pixar under the Disney umbrella as well, or maybe you're just talking about Disney animation proper, I love Aladdin, Lion King. Those are all up, but I'll just say, I won't do any rankings stuff but my favorite of all time, Disney or otherwise, is the original Lion King. That's my favorite. All right. And by the way, I liked the remake. I don't care what anybody says. I thought the remake was really good. Not as good as the original, but I really liked the remake. I thought the remake was quite entertaining. I enjoyed it. Anyway, Jedediah Elias writes, having not seen most of the series, how accessible do you think the Mandalorian movie will be for outside audiences? I have no idea. I really don't know. That's been one of my concerns, though, is that, guys, not everybody watched The Mandalorian. And I think a lot of people who have not watched The Mandalorian are going to be hesitant to buy tickets to go and see the movie. I might be right. I might be wrong, but that's been one of my fears. That's been one of the things I've been a little bit concerned about. So, I mean, I really don't know. It's really hard to say. My guess is that Jon Favreau and crew would probably have strived to make it as accessible as possible. How good they'll do? Well, we'll have to see once the actual movie comes out, but that's the burning question, Jedediah. That's the question that I have going into it. All right. Buster Barnes writes, if we don't get confirmation of who Ajorna is playing, they've already said it's Maxima. I don't know what else they have to do. By the end of May, I'm going to predict that they will revere her as Wonder Woman at SDCC. It's already been, I'm not quite sure where you're coming from with that, Buster. It's already been confirmed that she's playing Maxima, but I believe James Gunn himself said it. So I believe that already is confirmed. So we'll let that go. Silent Ghost writes, when Soldier Boy gets out of the cryo chamber, the Avengers theme plays on the piano. I don't think it does. His intro last season was also the first Avengers theme. I don't think it was. That would have been copyright violation. I mean, maybe a couple of notes were familiar, but they would not legally be allowed to play the Avengers theme in that. That would get them sued. So they wouldn't be allowed to do that. Maybe it was a piece that was similar to it in some ways, but it was not. I assure you it was not the Avengers theme. All right. AL writes, I was just joking about Captain EO. Oh, right. Because you said like you were disappointed. Well, I mean, but I have heard people say that. I've legitimately heard some people say they were really disappointed that they didn't cover Captain EO or several other of the events that happened in there. So maybe you were joking, but a lot of the other people weren't. All right. Animesh writes, for me, Born Again Season 2 is well on the way to being better than Netflix Daredevil Season 2, maybe even almost as good as Season 3. Like I said, I hesitate at this point to actually rank it. Like, I believe we as movie and TV fans, we rush too quickly when we first see something to then put it in perspective of all time stuff, right? I like to see something, and then before I make a proclamation about, oh, I think this is the best this, I like to like marinate on it for a while. Let's get through the entire season of Daredevil. We can start having these discussions, I think, later, but I do agree it's been great. And like I said a little bit earlier, I would put it on the level, like in the conversation now with the original Daredevil series on Netflix. But as far as like specifically ranking it by seasons, I think it's way too early to get in those conversations. Let's wait to see what happens once the season's actually done and we have a full season. All right. And our last one today gets sent in to us by X-Men Superfan, who writes, where does Mary Poppins sit in your musical or Disney rankings? Again, I don't do lists or rankings off of questions because I'll do topics or editorial videos like that because I have time to sit down, make lists, ponder it, move things around. But so I really can't tell you, I don't do that sort of thing off the top of my head. I will say that I am not as big of I am a Mary Poppins fan, but I am not as big of a Mary Poppins fan as say a lot of people. Like I quite enjoy Mary Poppins, but I don't revere Mary Poppins the way a lot of other people do. Like there's some pretty strange things, but of course, I mean, like who doesn't sing supercalifragilisticexpialidocious or just a spoonful of sugar? I've got some very catchy stuff. Dick Van Dyke doing his tap dancing with the penguins, I believe, like tap dancing with penguins. Amazing. But so yeah, I really like Mary Poppins. I just don't revere it as much as a lot of other people do. Which will turn some people off, I'm sure. All right, guys. as I announced an hour ago, I had already turned off those super chats like an hour ago. So that will do it for the super chats. But I will take just a couple of more minutes. If you guys are still here and you have a question for me, put in the chat. You see it, I put in the live chat right now. Put in all capital letters, question, colon, and then write a question. I'm not going to answer them all. I'm just going to cherry pick a couple and I'll address a couple and go from there. Let's see here. What do we got? Let's see. The bad actor writes, John, seeing how you've built a career on what you love is truly inspiring. Thank you for that. Was there a specific moment you remember when you had the idea to start your own podcast and bet on yourself? Well, I mean, it's two different things. Starting a podcast and starting a blog was a totally different thing than betting on myself. Like when I first started the movie blog, it was strictly as a hobby. At the time, I was living in Saskatchewan, Canada, and I started a blog simply as a way to keep everybody back home up to date with everything that I'm doing. Like rather than write 15 emails to 15 different people telling them the same stuff that I'm doing, I just created a blog, right? I created a blog to keep everybody back home up to date. When I started realizing that a lot of the stuff I'm blogging about is just the movies I'm going to, because I'm all about movies. I have been my whole life. I decided, you know what? I should start just a separate specific blog about movies. And I bought the domain name, The Movie Blog, and I started the movie blog and I started doing, but that was a hobby. The moment though is a moment in my life that we called the, what's the word I'm looking for? I'm freezing out. When people confront one of their family members for being a drug addict, intervention. That's the word I'm looking for. There's an event in my life that I refer to as the intervention. And it was the moment that I decided to actually try to do this as a job and as a career. I had been doing the movie blog for a couple of years. And like I said, as a hobby, but then I got my first check from Google Ads, and I got a check for $400. $400. It was such a big deal at the time that even my local newspaper, the Hamilton Spectator, put it on the front page of the lifestyle section in the paper of like, local guy makes money writing a blog. It was crazy, right? Following that, and I just hit like 250,000 hits a month, like 250,000 visits to my website a month, something like that. And I had a couple of friends of mine take me to lunch. Some of you might have heard this story before. They took me to lunch and we went to a restaurant called Jack Astor's. And I still remember it. I still remember the exact booth we were sitting in. And as we were having lunch, my two friends started the intervention and they said, John, you need to quit your job. You love movies more than anything else. You actually need to give this thing a real shot. You need to quit your job and just pursue this and see if you can make it work. Talking about doing my movie blogging. And I've always been really good with my money. So even though I wasn't making a ton of money, I was very good at saving up my money. I had enough money in the bank at that point that I could probably survive and give it like a good year. I could probably survive, pay my rent, buy groceries for about a year to give it a shot. So I decided to take their advice and I did. I went in, I quit my job and I started doing the movie blog full time, not really knowing if it would work out or not, but I had about a year to figure it out. And fortunately, it all worked. It all took off. It grew and grew and grew and grew to the point that I'm at now today. And yeah, that was the moment. It was my friends. It was my friends really pushing me to do it. So that was the thing. All right. Next question. Let's see. Almighty Yusuf writes, question, The Last Starfighter, is it being remade or is that fake news? It's not being remade as of now, but the creators of The Last Starfighter have been saying for years they're trying to get a remake done. And quite frankly, I don't think there's ever been a movie, ever in the history of movies, that is better positioned to be remade than The Last Starfighter. The Last Starfighter is the perfect candidate of a movie to get a remake, because I believe there are 3 criteria for a good candidate to be remade. Number 1, a lot of the current movie audience hasn't seen the original, and a lot of today's movie audience has never seen the original The Last Starfighter. Number 2, its story is still applicable today. Oh my God, the story of The Last Starfighter is far more relevant today than it was when it came out. Video games are far bigger today than they were when The Last Starfighter came out. So its story concept is far more relevant today than when the original came out. So that's 2 of the criteria. The third criteria is, could that movie benefit from more modern filmmaking techniques and technology? Well, of course it will. The Last Starfighter done today with today's visual effects and everything would be game changing. So The Last Starfighter meets all 3 criteria, I think, better than any. I don't think there is another movie in existence that is a better candidate for remake than The Last Starfighter. They've been trying to get it done for years. I don't know if it'll ever happen, but my God, I want to see it. I have been advocating for a Last Starfighter remake forever. So I really want to see it. Yeah, that's just me. Whether or not it actually happens, I don't know, but I do know that the actual filmmakers and the creators of it have been really trying for years and years and years. Gets it done. All right, guys. I thought we would do this for about an hour. We've now been going 2.5 hours. So that will do it for today's installment of Open Mic. Thank you to everybody for taking time out of your Saturday and hanging out here with me today. This has been a lot of fun. Now, for those of you who didn't know, we're going to start doing open mics almost daily on the John Campea YouTube channel. We're no longer going to take super chats during the John Campea show, but around 4 o'clock Pacific time, almost daily, not every single day, but almost daily. We're going to be doing open mics almost every day, Monday through Friday, and starting with open mic on Monday. So I hope you guys will come back and join us again for the John Campea show Monday earlier in the day, and then open mic a little bit later in the day. Thank you guys so much for spending time. I really appreciate all of you guys in the live chat. Thank you for being here. That'll do it for me for now, guys. My name's John Campea, and until next time, my friends, bye-bye.